Known for its emerald beaches, great food, and bustling cities, Thailand has been on the bucket list of millions of tourists for years now. The tourism sector has received such a boom in the last decade that by the end of 2019, it accounted for nearly 12% of the country's total GDP. And while the tourism industry got hammered during the pandemic, the arrival of 11 million people in 2022 is a sign that the sector is going to explode once again. Pretty soon, you can expect dozens of millions of people flying into this Southeast Asian paradise. But before you get your tickets and start planning all the things you're gonna do in Bangkok, take a moment to check out what you are really getting into. You see, while Thailand is the land of sunny beaches and golden temples, it also has an ugly side that's been plaguing its tourism industry for years now. So sit tight and let me take you through all the things that your travel agent isn't going to tell you about this tropical haven. Scammers. And the first thing you need to consider before planning a trip to Thailand is the fact that you're likely gonna get scammed in one way or another. You see, with millions of tourists arriving every year, Thailand has become a hunting ground for scammers from all over the globe. There's a whole array of scams you have to be aware of before you even set your foot in the country. Just check out the website of the US Embassy in Thailand and you'll find a list of scams that you're probably not gonna see anywhere else in the world. One of the most common types of scammers you're going to run into will be your cab or tuk-tuk drivers. Now, I'm not saying that every taxi driver you see in Thailand is there to scam you, but this particular profession has become notorious for swindling tourists out of their money or their possessions. Many of these drivers are actually working for scam shops that sell fake or damaged goods. These hired drivers will intentionally take you to these shady shops even if they are miles away from your actual destination. People also have had their luggage stolen when they go out of their cab to pay their fare. Another scam that many people fall for is one where you run into a fake police officer. Yeah, you heard that right. There are fake cops walking around tourist hotspots with no one to stop them. These fake policemen will ask to check your visa and then ask you to pay a fine since there's something wrong with your papers. Of course, these scams is highly effective since paying a fine is much better than spending a night in a Thai jail. This scammer culture has become so rampant that local police and government often try to warn travelers. However, they're clearly not doing enough, and that's a shame because you don't want to be on your guard every time you go out for a drink in Thailand. These black sheeps also give a bad name to all those great people in the hospitality industry who are genuinely there to help you out. Human trafficking and illegal brothels. And while we're talking about the lack of interest by the local government in making the tourism industry safer, we have to talk about the most vile side of Thai tourism. I'm sure many of you have heard about the illegal brothels that you can find pretty much in every major Thai city. They're almost impossible to miss in Bangkok, which is surprising since prostitution is illegal in Thailand. And that's right, there sums up how organized criminals blatantly break laws while the government intentionally looks the other way. Now, prostitution itself isn't really the problem here. After all, many countries around the world have legalized it without causing widespread anarchy. It's the fact that it doesn't have any kind of oversight, which only results in exploitation. People from neighboring countries are often brought to Thailand by human traffickers. According to the Global Slavery Index, there are currently more than 600,000 human trafficking victims living in Thailand. Many of these foreign workers are forced to work in these brothels, and many of them are underage when they start working. This highly illegal and unethical practice is so widespread in Thailand that it has become a major contributor to the Thai economy. According to a 2015 report, the brothel industry was generating $6.4 billion a year. While the people running these establishments are making big bucks, the workers themselves are often paid minimum wages. They also face violence at their workplace, and since their job is illegal, they can't even go to the police. Then there's the prevalence of drugs at these places, which often leads these nightlife workers to addiction and a lifetime of misery. Now, to their credit, the Thai government has been trying to legalize these establishments in certain parts of the country. They plan to conduct random inspections to make sure there are no illegal activities taking place. However, in a country where you see brothels more than convenience stores, it's going to be hard to enforce any kind of law. Draconian laws and punishments. Now, after seeing these illegal establishments out in the open, you might be tempted to run around Thailand like it's the wild, wild west. But this can literally prove to be a fatal mistake. You see, while laws and rules might not apply to these criminals and corrupt officials, they can certainly make your life a living hell. People familiar with the live streaming community will know about Ice Poseidon, who is facing 5 years in a Thai prison for giving a lap dance. You can even get arrested for being loud after having one or too many drinks, but these are some of the lighter crimes. If you're caught with drugs, you can face serious jail time, even the death penalty in certain cases. However, in the case of weed, Thailand has recently changed the laws significantly. They have decriminalized weed, which is starting to attract people from all over Asia and creating a new kind of tourism attraction. But these weed bars often sell hard drugs as well, which might lead to some tourists to ruin their lives. So, no matter how much white powder you see in bars across Thailand, you shouldn't assume that it's okay to indulge. Animal cruelty. Another sad and despicable sight many tourists come across in Thailand is the wild animals that are used as tourist attractions. This horrifying practice particularly came into the spotlight after the pandemic, when people started noticing the abused elephants across Thailand. These majestic animals are often treated in the worst way possible by their owners. These people use metal hooks and torture to tame the animal. And even after the animal becomes compliant, these tactics don't stop. The same kind of treatment is also given to monkeys, who are forced to perform tricks for the tourists on the beaches across Thailand. There is no way to justify the inhumane treatment of these poor creatures. Hopefully, about all the articles coming out about these abhorrent practices, the Thai authorities will do something about it. Lack of infrastructure. With so many tourists coming over, you would expect that the Thai government to spend generously on the development of infrastructure around the country. But this doesn't seem to be the case. Oftentimes, you will come across a situation where you won't be sure about your safety. For instance, the very common method of transport around the country is the motorcycle. However, riding a motorcycle in Thailand is one of the most dangerous things you can do in the country. Traffic laws work differently in Thailand, and that's why you probably shouldn't try to test your motorcycle riding skills in these wild roads. The beaches are another example. They are littered with people selling drugs, and there's also a good chance of someone stealing your wallet. Another very popular scam also revolves around these beautiful beaches. It involves rental jet ski shops that are pretty common. People running these shops take your passport while renting the jet ski. When you try to return it, they claim you've damaged it in some way even though you didn't. Then they ask you to pay a ridiculous amount of money, which you have to pay if you want your wallet back. There's also a clear lack of lifeguards on these beaches, so you should always try to be careful while visiting them. Now, I would like to end this video by making it clear that Thailand is still one of the best places you can ever visit. Well, I can never forget the love and hospitality I received from the Thai people when I last visited this beautiful country. However, the acute observer in me just couldn't help but notice all these highly unethical and strange things going on around me. And the worst part is that for some reason these bad things are being normalized. I truly believe that by implementing the current laws and by making new ones, the country can get rid of these stains on its tourism industry. Just a matter of realizing that a safer and more ethical Thailand will be a more desirable place for most tourists.